Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. I've just literally finished from where I came from. Listen, it's been a mad day, and I appreciate you guys hanging on. I can see there's a lot of you already in this chat, already ready to go. I am sitting down with Elena. If you don't know who she is, well, we've been following Married at First Sight. We've been doing lives. We've been talking about Married at First Sight for the whole of the season, and there's been a character of interest, which has been Zach. Okay, and we know that obviously he was married to Michaela, who then at the end of the season switched over to Bao, and they obviously then had a relationship going as well. Unfortunately, Zach seems to have not kept himself just to Bao, but has opened himself up to other people. One of those being Elena at the same time, who was oblivious to all of this, by the way. So she is an innocent party. So we wanted to get her on here, let her begin to give us her truth and waddle through the facts so we can actually get a better understanding of what has happened in the last 2 months or so with Zach and Bao and herself as well. So, Elena, how you doing today? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm alive and I'm well. Listen, I've been stuck at a train station for 4 hours, but I'm good. I'm good. Man, it's good to have you on here. And again, thank you so much for accepting our call to come in and have this conversation with us and share your particular truth as well. First of all, you look lovely. Look
Thank
already
you.
amazing. I know you got a bit of a tattoo. What does the tattoo say?
Sobreviviente.
Oh, what does that mean?
It's Spanish for survivor.
Okay. So Spanish for survivor. My God. Okay. Well, it's a fitting name. It's a fitting name for where we are right now. Okay. So like I said, we always do something on this channel, which is first and foremost, okay, it is always called human verification. It's a little bit of just a bit of fun, just to lighten the mood a little bit before we get into conversation. And it's to get to know you a little bit better and just to break the ice, as they say. Okay. So my first question for you, to kind of break the ice, is if I was to give you a choice of cars, let's say Mercedes, Lexus, BMW, Audi, which one would you choose?
If I had to choose from those, I would probably say Mercedes. But my dream car, like right now, what I'm working towards is a Nissan Maxima.
A Nissan Maxima. Oh, okay. What color?
Probably red.
Okay. I like that. Would it be a brand new reg as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Money. All right, cool. I like that. Second question, I'm gonna ask you. Milk in or cereal in first?
Cereal first.
Okay, cereal first. I like that. Okay, third question. If you could give yourself a different name to what you have now, what would you name yourself?
Probably like Alexa or something like that. I've always liked that name.
Alexa. That's a pretty cool name. I like it. Okay. I like it. Cool. Human verification done and passed. We like that. So now I want to get into a little bit of conversation. Before we get into the Zach stuff, I want to get to know you a little bit better, right? Because the audience, sometimes we just see you talking about the Zach situation and we can think that's all she is, but you're more than that, right? So we want to give you the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. So I want to ask this question. Who is Elena and what is Elena's story so far?
I'm 21. I'm from Houston. I just recently moved here from Ohio. I'm going to school here. There's a lot of different things that I'm passionate about. I love things like art. I love traveling. I love spending time with my friends and family. That's something that I value a lot. And I love animals. That's pretty much the gist. I'm a simple girl.
Love that. So you moved from Ohio to
Houston,
Houston. Okay, what
Texas.
was a switch for school or was it for something else?
It was for school.
Sick. I love that. What are you studying at school then at the moment then?
Cosmetology.
What is I am naive. What is that and what is that topic and what does it involve?
It's just like beauty school. So like
Oh,
hair, makeup.
okay. So is that your passion or is that something you're just doing at the moment?
Yeah, that's something that I've always been passionate about since I was little.
Okay. So would you say that that has been your dream as a little girl, or did you have other passions and dreams as well alongside that?
I mean, I was going to school for other purposes, but it was never for me. This was always what I wanted. But I didn't really have the support that I needed going into it. But I finally decided that this is my life. I'm going to take things into my own hands. I'm going to take this jump and I'm going to make this move and I'm going to follow my dreams.
Love that. Okay. So describe for us a little bit where you think, well, what you see for your future then. Where you try, where do you want to be with this, cosmetology? Where do you want to be?
I think I definitely want to stay in Houston. I love the city. And my ultimate goal is to one day own my own business. But starting out, I'll start out small, work in different salons, and then I'll just eventually work my way up.
Okay, cool. I like it. A woman with vision. Love to see it. Okay, so we like to get to know you a bit more. So, I mean, I always like to ask this question, like, tell us a little bit about your childhood because we always see the woman that we see before us now. I think you're 21, right, at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a whole lot of life ahead of you. I'm saying it like I'm old, but I'm not that old. But like you got your whole life ahead of you. But we like to know where you came from. Like how describe a little bit what your journey was in childhood. What was your childhood like?
I had a happy childhood. My life didn't start getting harder until like my teenage years.
Okay.
I guess that's when you're really exposed to like the real world and you start to see things for what it really is, and you're not as innocent. So
Now, when you say you're not as innocent, what does that mean?
you just see things that as a child like you didn't really know even existed, and things start to happen to you like that you never thought would happen to you, things that you just hear about that don't seem, I guess, real. And then yeah, I've had a rough
You've
last
had a
couple of
rough.
years, but
I mean, I don't know if you're comfortable to share. If you are comfortable to share, would love to hear a bit more in terms of what you mean by rough, because obviously it's quite a rounded term. So when you mean
yeah.
by rough, how do you mean? If you feel comfortable to discuss that.
I was sexually assaulted, so that's what the tattoo is for. And that was
Sorry to hear
something
that.
that was really hard for me to get past. But I've tried to be vocal about it ever since it happened and be there for other people that I know have been through similar situations because I know what I needed when it happened to me. So it's just something that I've tried to bring more like awareness to and trying. I'm very vocal about like ending victim blaming and stuff like that. So
Okay, okay. Do you know what? Really do appreciate you sharing that sensitive information, as well. Man, that's a lot to go through. I mean, and obviously that then, like you said, links to your tattoo. And I'm assuming that again, like you said, it links to the fact that you want to speak up, and I'm guessing that's also linking to the fact that you want to speak up about the Zach situation. Is that what's kind of fueled that drive to kind of speak up in these moments?
yeah,
Okay.
it's been part of it, especially with like the shaming and the disrespect. So
Mm. How did you kind of survive that then? Because we do a lot of work around that, around abuse and stuff like that on this channel as well. And I think for some of the young people who maybe watch this, or some even the older people who have gone through this as well, maybe how did you manage to? I guess how did you manage to get through this, or how are you managing to get through this? I want to say rather.
with the assault, like I was just very alone going through it because with all those situations, I mean, similar to this, obviously they're not the same. Like sexual assault is
Of
much more
course.
serious. People tend to blame the victim, and the person that committed the crime is innocent until proven guilty. And then for me, it was like I was a liar until I was proven honest. But it happened around like the court cases and everything started happening around the time that COVID started. So I had to go through that stuff alone because you couldn't have any extra people in the courtroom, which was hard for me. And so that was something that I had to go through alone. And it taught me a lot about myself and like the strength that I did have that I never realized that I had. And it taught me a lot.
Wow. Wow, that's not easy. I didn't. I would have never known. Because obviously you present yourself such a strong, bright, confident woman. You just never, you never thought that could be happening to someone.
Yeah.
So I mean, around that, obviously, like I said, no one could obviously enter the courtroom and such as etc. For yourself. How much was family a help to you in those moments as well? Then.
I mean, it was kind of hard for them because they were still trying to like process everything and accept what happened. And they were supportive. I think everyone became more supportive once the case closed and everything came to light. But yeah, they were like, my family was my biggest support. My friends were kind of secondary in that because I did close off a lot and spend a lot of time just at home. But my family has been like my biggest support through my whole life. So.
Well, again, I want to just commend your strength here. And I want to appreciate the fact you've shared that with us as well, and you felt comfortable to do so. It's never nice to hear that people have gone through those things, and it's actually really close to home. So I know the difficulties behind these kind of situations and how people do victim blame. A lot of people are not educated. A lot of people have a lot of very bad biases, and they don't realize how detrimental their words and their blame, incorrectly placed, can be for the person who has gone through that abuse. So, I honestly appreciate the fact that you've shared that with us. I didn't know we were going to go into that conversation, so I want to kind of move away from it because I don't know if we're ready to have that kind of conversation, and I didn't warn you before having that conversation. So I appreciate again you sharing that. And maybe that's something we can talk about offline, but I do appreciate you sharing that with us as well, Elena. All right. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about relationships for you then. Okay. So before the whole Zach situation, tell us a little bit about your dating kind of, I don't want to say history, but what's the dating scene been like for yourself?
Well, with me, I've always been, I feel like, more mature than most people my age. So my last like serious relationship was a couple years ago. I was kind of just like casually dating before all of this, back in Ohio, and I didn't really have anything successful because people my age were not really looking to like settle down with anybody or have anything long term. And so I kind of just gave up on the dating world until I moved to Houston. And then that was when I met Zach.
Wow. Okay. So for you, the dating scene has not been the most, the men around your age, a little bit childish, as we say in UK, childish. Haven't really been on that certain level. Um, so you've kind of looked for elder gentlemen, so that people are on the same kind of mental level in a sense.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So was Zach the first kind of person that you encountered who was of an elder, I guess, older generation, if you want to call it that way?
Yeah.
Oh, probably not the best experience, the first one. Okay. Okay, cool. I mean, okay, so let's talk a little bit about it then, because if it's just that was your first kind of experience. I mean, how did you get round to meeting Zach? How did that even come about?
Well, one of my friends, she watched the show and she had brought him up to me a couple times before. She was always being like, "Oh, this guy on the show is so cute, blah, blah, blah." And so then I like moved to Houston and she had told me one night that like his marriage definitely wasn't going to last. And she was basically like, "Girl, you should just try to like follow him and see what happens because like you're cute. Like you never know like what could come from that." So I followed him and I messaged him, and then he ended up reaching back out to me.
Oh, okay. So your friend had watched the show. Did you watch the show at all? Did you
No,
ever watch Married at First Sight?
no.
It's a big show, man. It is a huge show. Okay. Okay, so your friend was watching the show. She then saw Zach. Okay, she said what she saw that the marriage wasn't gonna work with him and Michaela.
Yeah.
Okay, and then kind of said you should go for him. Why did she propose that you go for him? Why didn't she go for him? Is she in a relationship or something? That's why she didn't.
Well,
Why did she propose?
she doesn't even live down here. She lives back home.
Oh, okay.
So
Back
she
in
just saw
Ohio.
it as an opportunity. Like, you live in Houston. I know that you've thought about possibly dating older men and getting away from the guys our age. So why not try this?
Mm. Don't you find that a bit? Isn't that a bit? I just have to ask. This is my mind working. Why did she put you on to Zach and not like a regular degular schmegular guy? Like out there. Why Zach? What did she see in Zach that she thought would work well with you?
I don't know. I guess what she saw of him on the show, the way I guess he portrayed himself. I mean, it seems like it was attractive toward, like, it attracted a lot of women to him based on like messages I've gotten and like comments I've seen. So
okay, I mean, I definitely can see this. There could be an attraction between the two of you. You know, I can see that. And okay, so my brain's tingling. My brain's tingling at the moment. So okay, cool. So she then like, was this the first? Okay, I've got to ask. I'm sorry. I'm intrigued. Was this the first one that the first guy that she'd kind of proposed that you potentially should look at? Because it was like, because if she's watched the show, she knows what he's. We had a massive debate on this. I mean, my channel, we were going through it. We had two different sides going at Zach is this or Zach is not this, right? Obviously, she would have seen obviously what Zach was kind of going through at the time. I'm a little bit confuzzled as to why she offers Zach, because he's in a predicament. One, he's married, hasn't finished divorcing, and two, Zach is in a situation where we're looking at him, he's been abused, obviously, and some people think he's a manipulator in a sense. So it's weird, like for your friend to just kind of like pick Zach. Like I could understand maybe someone else, but Zach, he was in a predicament. It's weird. Do you know what I mean?
well, I mean, I think she was kind of just wanting me to go out on a limb because he was someone that had come up multiple times, like within conversations, just talking about how cute she thought he was, and like just that she thought that, like I said, he might be my type since he is older and stuff like that.
Okay. So she thinks he could be your type. What's the next move? What happens next?
So I messaged him, and then he messaged me back, and he sent me his phone number, and then told me that he couldn't like request, like accept the request or whatever. And so I moved the conversation to iMessage, and then he unsent his message where he sent his phone number. But I didn't notice that till later on. But then we continued our conversation through iMessage, and that's when things led up to him bringing up the fact that we should meet, and then that led to us hanging out and meeting in person for the first time.
Okay, take me back. Hold on. Let me go back. Okay, wait. So, okay, just so we get a clear timeline. You reached out to him on Insta?
Yeah.
Okay. Send him a message?
Yeah.
That boy never responded to my message. All right, cool. So send him a message on Insta. Send him a message on Insta. What did you say? What did you say then on Insta? Like, what
I just said hey with hard eyes.
You just said hey with hard eyes.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me look at it.
And he basically, when I did see him in person, he told me that I was the first person that he had, the first girl he had responded to from Instagram. And I was like, well, why did you pick me? And he was like, I really liked the simplicity of your message and how it was just, hey. He was like, I thought that was cute.
Okay. But you're pretty okay. I'm just trying to, because my brain is tingling. You're on private, right? You're always on private on Insta.
Yeah.
So all he gets to see is a DP. Okay, that's fair. I mean, that means obviously your messages potentially would have been going to requests. I'm really just trying to deep the whole situation, like how brother sees this. Okay, so then he sees. So you said, "Hey, heart eyes." Is that it?
Yeah, he could see my profile picture. He also requested to follow me, and I accepted him, so he could see my page, but he didn't accept my request, so I couldn't see like the rest of his pictures. Because he told me that he couldn't accept requests.
Okay, so he couldn't accept requests. He couldn't accept requests, but he obviously you accepted his request so that he could see your page. So he can basically see what you're working with. Okay, I'm just trying to read because I really want to try to deep how the whole situation is going. Okay, okay, cool. So you can't see his page. All right, cool. I'm just, you know what? It's just ladies out there listening. I told you, shoot your shot properly, man. Hey, love light. I'm just saying it works. All right, cool. Okay, so you shoot that shot. Put the heart eyes. He accepts, and then says obviously he can't. Then he says obviously he can't request you back because of the show he's doing.
Yeah, and you can see in the one screenshot that I posted where it had the notification that he had followed me. It didn't say following. It still said requested next to his name.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know you're talking about. I've seen that screenshot. Okay, so at that point where when he says obviously he's on the show, he can't add you. Do you then go and watch the show? Do you go and see what show he's talking about?
Well, I already
No.
knew what show he was talking about. I knew he was on
Okay.
the show. I hadn't watched it.
So you didn't see any more. You didn't think, you weren't intrigued to go and watch a bit more. Maybe just me. I'm inquisitive, so I might have gone and watched a bit more of the show just to kind of see what that person's on about. Do you know what I mean? So did you not after
No,
that go
but
and see?
when
No.
when I
Okay.
started seeing him in person, he would show me clips.
Okay. Okay. So
So
later on, when you do meet in person, okay. Okay. Cool. So obviously now, take us, give us a little bit of give us a little bit of a journey then in this conversation. So you had that conversation. He says what he's saying. How? What's the kind of conversation like in the beginning then?
I mean, it was just kind of like getting to know each other a little bit. He kind of asked like, "What's your story?" And I gave him my story, and then I was like, "What about you?" And then he mentioned that he wanted to meet, and then he kind of told me like it's tricky right now because I can't go out in public because I can't be like I'll be photographed and posted on
Mm,
blogs or whatever. So I was respectful of that.
okay.
And I know people were very concerned with the fact that I was just going to his apartment or whatever, but someone did have my location. I shared my
Okay.
location with someone before I left. And when I got to his apartment, I made sure to give them the okay that, like, everything's fine. Like, it's not just some
Random.
crazy person or whatever. And then they were texting me, like, throughout the night, like, checking in on me, like, are you okay? Are you okay? So I did have someone looking out for me. I didn't just go take this huge risk. I did make sure that there were some precautions.
Okay, so let me ask a real question, and it's not me. No, it's me challenging. Um, do you not think at that point in time, and listen, I know because I'm a reformed supervillain, so I've played games in the past. But do you not think at the time when you are talking to him, then because actually you generally got through, maybe you thought to yourself he might not reply, and it's maybe at the first when you started it's a bit of a joke, but then you actually get through and actually start talking to him. Does at any moment you start thinking, actually, this guy hasn't finished the marriage thing? I mean, did you guys discuss that in the conversation? Because remember, he hasn't finished them. He's still on the show, but he's technically married. Like he hasn't finished. So, what was that conversation like then?
I mean, we ended up having that conversation in person when I went over there
Okay.
the first time. He told me that, like, just so you know, like, legally, I'm still married, but I'm just waiting to file for the divorce because I can't file for the divorce yet because people still have to think that she and I are together because if he did file for divorce, that's a public record, so people would know that they weren't together anymore. And obviously, like, they want people to see that on the show, so he had a
Mm,
contract with them that he had to follow.
mm. Okay. And again, so I know I'm putting a bit of pressure on. Um, did you not did you not think to maybe just again check the show out? Because listen, man, them lie all the time. We because I mean, it's very his story is very feasible. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying, again, did it not dawn on you to again check maybe and see? Okay, look, he said that, but what's happening on the screen? I know he showed you some of the clips, so
Mm-hmm.
on that, but did it not prompt you to maybe go and watch the show yourself and see for yourself what this man is like on the TV and
No,
stuff?
because I really wanted, like, I really liked him, and just the way he is, like, even though he is because he's very manipulative
Mm,
and he puts on a good facade, like, I immediately felt like I could trust him.
I get you.
And I wanted to get to know him for myself. I didn't want
Mm,
to get to know him through
TV screen.
watching a TV show. I was like, okay, I want to know like who he really is in person, not because I figured if he was putting on an act, it would have been on the show. I didn't realize that he was doing that both like in
Mm.
person and on the show. So
Okay. Okay. So you obviously you spoke a little bit about going around there. Okay, so what is the give us a little bit of the timeline. So you guys are talking in the DMs. How long before you guys kind of like finally meet up then?
we hung out in person the same day
Hmm.
that we started texting. So
Okay. What
yeah.
made you feel comfortable to want to meet up with him on the same day that you guys are talking? I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've done the same thing in the past, but what made you feel comfortable?
I mean, I had been in Houston for like a couple weeks at that point, and I was ready to kind of get out there and start getting to know people. And I was like, I mean, this seems like a fine opportunity, like to start to get to know somebody. So I know people had a big problem with the fact that I offered to get groceries and that we could cook together. but I just thought that that would be something fun to do since we were just going to have to be hanging out in his apartment. Because I figured, oh, okay, this will give us something to do other than just sitting on a couch and watching movies or doing whatever he had planned. And it's kind of something interactive that we could do. But he just ended up ordering food.
So the promise originally was that you guys want to cook together.
I had mentioned that, and then
Oh,
he
you mentioned that.
he
Okay.
said something about wouldn't it be easier just to order in, and
Okay.
then he knew that my favorite food was Mexican food because I told him that.
Cool.
So he ended up ordering filet mignon fajitas from some Mexican place nearby. So
was it good?
Yeah, it was actually really good.
That's what it's up. Say that's up. That's what's up. Okay, cool. So so same day you guys meet up, and you guys get to the actual place. Okay, cool. So just so the audience get a bit more understanding, because I've kind of heard the story before, so I know exactly what I can ask questions, but some people might not know this. So I want to give you the opportunity to give us your timeline, and then I'll start asking questions again. So that you get a bit of that. So give us your timeline in terms of from the moment you guys were talking on DMs to the end. You give us your timeline. I won't interrupt, and I'll wait to the end, and then we'll continue the conversation from there.
Do you want me to add like all the details and stuff in between, or do you want me to just give like a basic rundown?
You can add the details in between as well. Times as well will help in terms of what the dates are. It would help as well to get us there as well. Yeah.
So I went there the 25th. I got there like early evening, like late afternoon. It was still bright outside and everything. When I got there, he had me park at the top garage, and then he came out and got me, and then we went in the apartment. And then basically, like as soon as I got there, I went and I sat down at his bar, like in his kitchen, and he like immediately just offered me a drink, and I was kind of like, I know we talked about drinking, but I didn't think we were going to start right now. I didn't think it was going to be till like later on. But he just poured me a drink, and I kind of just sipped on it a little bit, but I was still just drinking the water that I had brought. And so eventually I got up from the bar and went to the couch. We talked a little on the couch. And then he kept like asking me like why I wasn't drinking. And I was like, I mean, it's early. I'm not trying to be like drunk right now because I am a lightweight. I told him that. I was like, I'm not really trying to drink right now. And I was only 20 at the time. I wasn't even old enough to be drinking alcohol.
Fair enough.
But we continued to talk. He asked me a lot of questions about myself. He asked me questions about my parents' relationship, about my siblings, about how I grew up, what my goals are, what I'm looking for, like how many kids I want, when I want to be married, just the whole shebang. And so then he told me about himself, and then we got into a conversation about music, and I told him who my favorite artists were, and we talked about what my favorite song was, and then he went and played the piano for me, and then played my favorite song on the piano. Like he was kind of like learning to watch, like he was watching the YouTube video, learning how to play that song, and he ended up playing it. And then he was playing like some Drake songs for me, having me guess which ones they were because he knew that he was one of my favorite artists. And then we ended up playing Jenga, and we also played it's a card game called, I think, We're Not Really Strangers, like, but the questions were like getting really personal, and I'm like, hold on, like this is kind of a lot for a first date. So I was just like, I'm not going to answer that. And then we ended up going out on the balcony for a little bit to talk, and that was when he really told me that like he's very into like Hispanic women and stuff like that, and he had told me that he was never attracted to the lady that he was married to. And I remember him taking a picture of me on the balcony because he was like, you look really good right now. He's like, I'm going to take a picture of you. And then while we were out on the balcony, he was like, so you're going to come back tomorrow and come swimming with me? I was like, you already want me to come back like tomorrow? And this date hasn't even finished yet. I was like, I mean, sure. Like I like to swim. I don't have anything else to do because I hadn't started school yet.
Cool.
So then we continued stuff in the living room for a while, and then he finally was like, do you want to go watch movies in my room? And at first I was a little bit hesitant, but then I was like, sure, we can go in there. And we were watching Bridesmaids, and things started to happen a little bit. Things got a little bit more heated. And then I told him that I didn't want to have sex, but I did end up giving him oral, which people know. And so then he told me that he wanted me to stay the night. And because I had continued to drink, like I ended up drinking more of my drink, like as we had conversations on the couch and hung out in the living room and stuff, and as the night went on. And so he was like, I don't want you driving home. I want you to stay the night. So I was just like, oh, how nice. Like, he's looking out for like my safety. He's looking out for me and whatever. So I stayed the night. And I bring like a travel size toothbrush and toothpaste with me everywhere. Like, I've always done that. I always keep it in my purse just because like if I go out to eat or something, like I just like to feel like I have like fresh breath. So he told me to keep it there. He was like, keep your like toothbrush and your toothpaste here. Like, basically that he like wanted me to come back. So I stayed the night, and then I was supposed to come back that, like, I was going to leave, come home, get my swimsuit, do what I had to do. He was going to go to the gym, work out, do whatever. And then I was going to come back and swim that day, but he ended up having work to do or something. So he was like, I'm going to reschedule for tomorrow. So on the 27th, I came back, and then that was when we ended up sleeping together. And at first, it was just oral, and he started talking about how he wanted to have sex. And I was like, well, do you have a condom? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, I'm not going to have sex with you unless you have a condom. And then I was like, and then he was like, he tried to push it and push it and push it. And I was like, if you want to have sex this bad, like, we can go to the store and we can get one, but it's not happening without a condom. And so then finally, like, after we continued to do other things, like, he was like, let me go look. Let me go see if I have one. And I was like, okay. So he went and then ended up coming back, and he had magically found one. So then that was when we started having sex. And then things continued on from there. And like every time the show would air or whatever, he would go into like this weird thing where he didn't really want to talk much, but then he would like start texting me like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad right now, like, can you bring me food, can you come give me head, can you do this, can you do that, and kind of just like making me feel sorry for him. But we also had a lot of conversations about like that we did want something serious. I know that a lot of people only saw like the sexual stuff, but that's just because that's what I released. Like, people don't understand that they weren't there. They weren't there to see everything that happened behind closed doors. They weren't there for every conversation behind closed doors. Like, he basically told me that like I was his dream woman, and that I had all the qualities that he'd always looked for in a woman, and that he did eventually want something serious, but he was still processing the trauma from what he went through with during his time on the show. So I was respectful of that. And when he needed his distance, I gave it to him. And because I didn't want to like pressure him. I didn't want to add to whatever he was going through mentally. So things continued for a while. And then he ended up telling me that he was going to go to New York for like a weekend to clear his head after one of the episodes aired. And he told me that he was just going there to see like some family and friends, and I was like, okay, we'll have a good time. And we continued to talk throughout that time, and literally the night before he went to New York, he asked me for nudes, and I sent them to him. And then he like towards the end of when that conversation stopped, he was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed because I have to catch my flight in the morning. And I said, okay. And then when he was in New York, we continued to text. He did continue to ask for pictures and stuff. And then I didn't find out until when everything came to light this week that he was not in New York to see his family and his friends. He was in New York with Bao. So he was doing that stuff while with her on a trip. And then when he got back from New York, he ended up hitting me up and asked me to come over and bring him food and then give him head again. And then that was when he like had work to do or whatever. And so he was just like, can you just give me head and then leave? And so I went all the way there, and then that happened. So, and then a couple weeks later, on the weekend of the 20th, he knew that on the 19th, he started texting me, and because he knew my birthday was coming up that weekend on the 21st of November. And he kind of asked what I was going to be doing, and I told him that we were going to be getting a party bus and bar hopping around Houston and going to dinner. And at this point, like, my family and my friends knew about him. So he invited himself to come, and some like one of my family members added an extra seat at the dinner reservation for him because he said that he wanted to come, and he said he was going to be there, and or said that he wanted to be there. So like we were kind of like waiting, like, okay, is he going to come? Is he not going to come? Because I texted him that Saturday, the 20th, like, so are you still wanting to come? And he ended up being like, oh, I'm going through something. I'm upset right now, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just like, whatever. It's my 21st birthday. I'm going to have a good time. So if you don't want to be here, that's fine. But he had said that if he didn't do something with me on Saturday, he wanted to do like our own separate dinner. So I was like, okay, that's fine. We can just do our own separate dinner. And then he was like, oh, well, I'm actually going to be going to Baton Rouge tomorrow. I was like, okay. So at that point, I was kind of just like, I don't know if he's serious or not. I was kind of like on the fence about things. And so then we went through the holidays and whatever. And then he texted me this past weekend and was kind of like, how are your holidays? Kind of starting the conversation up the way he always would. And up to the point where he would usually ask, like, what are you doing? You want to come over? Stuff like that. And I knew that that was coming. And then, shortly after, like, we had been texting a little bit, and then I got a text from one of my friends, and it was Bao's, like, video of her, like, hitting a piñata or something, and he was in the background, and then he was in a picture with, I think, her family at, like, a family Thanksgiving or something, and my friend was like, isn't that Zach? And so I was like, that's interesting. So he continued with his, like, a normal conversation, and he was kind of just, like, playing the card of being sad and wanting pity from me. And so I was kind of playing into it a little bit. And then I mentioned, I was like, but why did you play me? And he was like, huh? And I was like, Zach, we're both adults. You know what I'm talking about. And he continued to play stupid. And I asked on Sunday, why didn't you tell me that you're dating someone? And he said, I'm not. He was in denial still. So that's when I decided to take things into my own hands. I even told him, I was like, well, I hope you're telling me the truth. And so I went and I reached out to Bao. And then the next day, I was in class and I started getting a call from him. And then I checked Instagram and she had responded. And that was when everything started. So. Sorry, that was a lot. But
Hey, listen, I asked for the timeline. You gave us timeline. All right, cool. I don't think I even got all the information, but I'm gonna kick us back to the beginning because of what you just said. Okay, so the first night that happens, okay, just so that because obviously some people might see, okay, first night happens. You're obviously you guys are starting to have a little bit of drinks and stuff like that. My first thing is this: he invites you to the bedroom. I got to ask a question. In your head, are you thinking this could go sex though? Like on a realistic, I think I just want to just get that real answer. That first time when he says, because I'm going to tell you, I'm a reformed supervillain. If I invite you to the bedroom, I know what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to let you watch Netflix. We're gonna watch Netflix for like 2 minutes, and then we gonna do some things after that. Like that's a ploy. So in your head, when you're hearing, "Oh, come to a room and chill in the room," when you're already chilling in the house already, are you not think? I mean, what is your thought process?
I
Really?
mean, I was kind of in between. I was like, this could go either way because
Okay.
we had been on the couch.
Mm,
On the couch, we also watched a movie. We watched Training Day,
mm.
and he hadn't tried anything. So I was like, maybe he just wants to go like lay down because it is late. But then it was in the back of my head. And then at first, like he wasn't doing anything. I was just laying on him. We were watching the movie, laughing. And then he got up and I got up also, and I
Okay.
went to the bathroom. I went to there's like a bathroom in like the main part of his apartment, but there's
Okay.
also a bathroom like in his room. And
Cool.
so he went in there and then I went in there. And then when I came back in, he just asked if he could see me naked. And I
Wait,
was just like,
what?
that's kind of weird.
Wait,
Like,
what? Wait,
you
wait,
want me
wait,
to
wait,
just,
wait, 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 pause. What? Wait, what? Wait,
yeah,
what? Okay, you went to the bathroom, and then wait. How did we get to the part where he says he wants to see you naked? What happened there?
like, he was just laying on the bed. He was laying on the bed and he was like, oh my gosh, like, you're so hot.
Okay.
This and that, like you're so perfect. And then he was just like, can I see you naked? And I was just kind of like,
Yeah,
you
sounds
want
like
me to
you.
just drop my clothes right here and just stand here and like pose like that I've never been just asked that, like to just take off my clothes so someone could look at me. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know. Like, so then I just laid down, and then we started kissing. And then that was when things did start to get a little bit more heated, and I did start to feel a little more comfortable because just taking off my clothes and just immediately making that jump when we hadn't really been like kissing that much or anything, it made me feel uncomfortable. So the way he started like easing into things made me more comfortable, but I still was not going to be having sex. I knew that.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so sex wasn't on the agenda at that point in time.
No.
But there was oral sex involved. And I've got to ask a real question. Was this reciprocated at this point in time?
He asked to reciprocate with the oral, but I denied.
Or was there a reason behind?
I didn't want it. You
didn't trust it?
No, I just didn't want to do that. I was just like, because I was like, I feel like then that for sure is going to lead to other things. So I would rather just not accept that right at the moment.
Okay, no, that makes a bit more sense. The audience are crazy. Okay, cool. So that makes sense. All right, cool. So then obviously now you guys are in bed, you're kissing, there's a bit of touching going on. You obviously then got to the oral part. After that, you then obviously are. Am I hearing that you were obviously then you said you carry a travel bag or a little overnight bag just in case anything happens, you end up staying over?
Well, not an overnight bag. Like I was still wearing like he gave me clothes to wear.
Oh,
but I just have a travel size toothbrush and toothpaste. Like I have that everywhere. Like if I just go out to eat with my friends, like I'll go in the bathroom and brush my teeth.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, that does make sense. Okay, so then that happens. Are you thinking at that point? Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real. At that point, are you thinking, hey, it would be nice maybe to stay? I just got to keep it real. Is that in your thought process? It would be nice to stay.
Wait, what was it that you said? Sorry.
At that point, when you've gone to the bathroom, you guys have done what you've done and everything like that. You got your little toothbrush out as well. Are you thinking at any point in time, you know what, it'd be nice to stay?
I mean, yeah, because it was late, but I didn't want to
how late was it?
Invite myself to do that, I guess.
How late was it roughly at the time?
It was probably, by the time we got done with the movie and everything, it was probably 1 in the morning.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty late. And do you live far from where he is?
15 minutes.
Okay, is that walking?
Is that what?
Walking pace? Is that walking distance 15 minutes?
Oh, no.
Driving?
No,
that's driving 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, you live far. Okay. Yeah, that ain't a small place. Okay, so then after that, then he offers for you to stay.
Yeah. Basically told me that he wasn't comfortable with me leaving because he knew that I had alcohol.
Okay, which is fair enough. Okay, so then you're gonna now end up staying. Are you guys now sleeping in the same bed? Did he offer you the couch? Did he offer a spare room? What was kind of offer here in terms of staying?
No, it was kind of just assumed that we were both sleeping in his bed.
Okay. Were you thinking you were gonna sleep elsewhere?
No.
Or he was gonna sleep elsewhere?
No.
Okay, so at this point, because obviously when you sleep in the same bed, things are gonna potentially happen. I mean, at that point, when he's asked you to stay, a little bit of liquor's in your system, and you're gonna stay in the same bed. At that point, are you thinking, okay, well, something's gonna go down because I'm staying in the bed? I'm just again, I'm just trying to get a mindset situation so I can understand where you're coming from.
Well, stuff had already gone down. I had already given him oral, and he knew that I wasn't gonna have sex, and I was pretty adamant about that. So I think he was kind of okay, this is not gonna happen, but she's staying the night, so.
Okay, so you stayed the night. Does anything happen during the night, or is it in the morning that happens?
No, in the morning, I just left. He went to the gym, and then that was when I was supposed to come back that afternoon to go swimming.
Okay. So then he invited you to come back swimming. Okay. So when's the next time you saw him after that?
The 27th.
The 27th. So 2 days, pretty much.
Yeah, I was supposed to come back the 26th, but that was when he said that he had work and stuff to do, so we rescheduled for the 27th.
Okay, so 27th, you come back in now. You guys see each other. What was actual thing? You just came back around to the house, or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. At that point now, because obviously stuff have gone down beforehand. What is your thought process towards what's going on between you and Zach at that moment? 27th of October, by the way, isn't it? It's October, isn't it? At this point.
Yeah.
right? So we're still seeing him on our screens and stuff like that. 27th October, you've come back round. At that point, what is your thought process towards what you and Zach are kind of engaging in now?
I mean, I thought that it was gonna lead up to like something serious. I was like, I mean, obviously he likes me. Like he's already invited me back. Like he seems very interested in me. So I was thinking, I was hopeful that it was he was the only guy he was the only guy I was talking to. I was under the impression that I was the only girl that he was talking to. So yeah, I was thinking that it was gonna lead to something serious.
Okay. When you say he was you that you thought he was only you thought that he was only talking to you, did he mention that he was only talking to you, or is
Yeah,
this something that you were
he told
thinking?
me that he hadn't talked to anyone since his marriage with Michaela ended.
Okay.
So
Okay, cool. All right, so 27th happens. All right. And so when is, because obviously you guys eventually then end up having sex. You described to us that situation that happened. When does that happen in terms of time scale, in terms of time date? Is that 27th? Is that 28th? Is that later on?
we had sex on the 27th.
Oh, okay. So that same day. Okay.
Yeah, and then that day at 6:30, that was the day that I had to leave at 6:30. He left to
That's
go
the
be with Bao.
So that's the message that we see on Reddit, right? The one
Yeah.
where okay, so he has to leave or whatever. Okay, so before you got there, you already knew that he was saying you had to leave by a
Yeah,
particular
because he told me
time.
that he had to go to some like bar or something where him and some castmates would meet to watch like the airing of the show.
Okay. All right. So okay, you're around the house, everything like that. What makes you comfortable? Oh, well, it's not even comfortable because at first you said obviously the situation, he wanted to have sex and you weren't on it. You
Mm-hmm.
weren't on it because he didn't have a condom. When he's obviously saying he hasn't got a condom, I mean, you're gonna have to describe that situation a bit more so we can understand it a bit better. Because my mind is doing a whole 360. I'm thinking to myself, that sounds a bit. I don't want to say coercive, but it's less. But it's just like I'm a little bit thrown off by that situation.
Mm-hmm.
That situation, 27th. How does that day go before you get to that point?
I mean, it was fine. Like we watched The Joker, and then he showed me like more clips of
The
him and
show.
Michaela, and then he told me that
Oh, what clips did he show you, by the way? What clips did you
like
see?
her freaking out, and then like one where they were like together on like a couch, and he wasn't really trying to like listen to what she was saying. He was like, man, I was so over it by this point. And he told me that he had a hard time watching the Joker movie because the Joker reminded him of his ex-wife. And I was just like, dang, that's kind of scary. So but then his brother ended up FaceTiming him, or his brother Hunter, I think was his name. Whichever one has like
Yeah.
a wife and a dog, because they
Okay.
were like on the screen too, and they just kind of like talked horribly about Michaela for probably like 30 minutes, and I was just kind of sat back listening, like, dang, this is a messy situation. So,
You said he reminded of his. Did you say his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife?
ex-wife,
Huh?
Michaela, his ex-wife Michaela.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to make sure. Because I was thinking as a past girl. My bad. Okay, cool. Ex-wife, Michaela. Okay, cool. So remind me of ex-wife, and then his brother called, and then they have a whole conversation about Michaela and how bad she is, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So that happens now, yeah. Okay, so you've seen those clips. Okay, so when he shows you those clips, what's your thought process? What's your thoughts towards Zach then? Because this is I'm gonna be honest with you. As a reformed supervillain, this is classic emotional F boy, right? Where they
Yeah.
use their emotions to tang you up. So what's your thought now towards him when you're towards him and his situation when you see that he's shown you about Michaela and what she's done, etc., etc.? What's your thought process there?
I mean, that was when he would get like really sad and like in his feelings. So I would feel like bad for him. I was like, oh my God, like this poor guy, like he just had to go through all this like uh, emotional abuse. And like he told me that she like physically abused him and that she hit him and all this other stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. And like I really did feel sorry for him. And like he really put on an act that he was hurt. Like he even told me once, he was like, some days I just want someone to come over and hold me while I cry. So.
So you felt compassion. You wanted to almost, you wanted to almost kind of cover
Yeah.
him in those
Well,
kind of moments.
and most women are naturally like nurturing, and I think he preyed on that, like knowing
Mm.
that. So it, like I was like, oh my gosh, like come here, like it's okay, like everything's gonna be fine, like this will all blow over soon. Like I was just trying to be there for him. So
Okay, no, I mean I get it. Listen, uh, because I've played those games, I know exactly what's kind of happened here. So, you spot a mark and you play the game. So I do understand, and you know, I'm hearing what you're saying. So, okay, so that then happens. How do we get to the sex part? Because you guys just seemingly having conversation, everything like that. It seems to be pretty cool. It's not got to that stage again. How have we got to that stage again?
we were kind of sitting on the couch, and then I think we had started another movie, and then he just got to like kissing on me and stuff like that. And so then that was when the oral started. Um, After a little bit of that, that's what it led up to. And then while I was giving him oral, that was when he started asking like to do other
Sex.
things.
Mm. And again, it wasn't reciprocated. You didn't.
No, because at the time, like when I did start doing that, I still wasn't really thinking about like having sex like
Mm.
that soon. Like I was okay and I was comfortable like giving oral because like it is my body, it's my decision.
Okay.
Like I felt the timing
You
was
should
right based
control.
off how things were going with him and like the
Yeah.
way that I felt towards him like emotionally.
Mm.
Um and so yeah, like during that he was like, I want to fuck. I really want to fuck. I want to fuck. Like just kept bringing that up and I would be like, okay, we need a condom. So
Okay, I'll get that. Okay, so then obviously you're saying to him he needs to get a condom, and then he's like, oh, I guess he's still trying to push it, trying to get the sex, but you're saying you're adamant he has to get a condom,
yeah.
and then eventually kind of finds one out of the blue. You're
Yeah.
saying,
Like he goes in his room and I can hear him like making noise, like digging around a little bit. And then he's like, I found one.
Okay, okay, I get that. I get that. So then he finds one, and at this whole situation, are you feeling comfortable? I have to ask that question as a rule situation.
Yeah.
After
Because
such,
like
yeah.
he always made me feel like taken care of, or like he was always like looking out for me. Cause like as soon as I got to his apartment that day, it was like a little bit past lunchtime. It was kind of like early on. I know people think that I just showed up like a little bit before 6:30 and then he kicked me out, but no, like I was there from
The
like
whole day.
early afternoon up until like the point where he left to go be with Bao. But when I got there, he was like, have you eaten yet today? And I was like, no. And he was like, what do you want? And I was like, I mean, I can like order myself some Chick-fil-A or something because I was looking on DoorDash to like what was close and what had like a short delivery time. And he was like, oh, I'll just take you. And so that was like the most public that we had been. He just took me through the Chick-fil-A drive-through and he got me Chick-fil-A. And then I ate the Chick-fil-A at his apartment. But he made me feel like he really cared about me and that he was looking out for me. Because, like, I mean, I hadn't really been with that many guys before that were always like, did you eat? And if you hadn't, like, come on, I'll take you to get something to eat. Like,
And this, actually, you know what, you made my point for me, because I think that I'm really sympathizing with and empathizing with your situation, because I think people don't really understand. When pe- listen, that's why some people say this one a nice guy because if like you might have experienced people in the past who just never give a damn. Do you know what I mean? And it's when someone seemingly puts that energy out there, where it seems like they're giving you some caring energy, and where they seem to want to take care of you in that sense, you do feel comfortable. You do feel like you
yeah.
can trust them. So I do get that.
And I always felt like he was doing more than he needed to do because,
Mm.
like, for example, when he ordered the fajitas, like, the chicken fajitas were a lot cheaper than the filet mignon fajitas, but it was like he went out of his way to be like, okay, I'm going to get the most expensive one. Like, looking back, it was all him trying to, like, woo me. And with the piano playing and everything, it's like I think he knew that those were things that I had never seen before. Like, I'd never
Trust me.
had some guy play the piano for me, and he knew he knows how to impress women. And like I had mentioned before, like other women have come forward to and reached out to me that they were also having like they were having sexual relationships with Zach, and they told me that they didn't think that it was going to be anything serious. He wasn't having those conversations with them that he was having with me. But
Okay.
one of the girls reached out to me and she was like, I believe you because I was sleeping with him also. And then I was like, oh, well, what's his phone number? And so she sent me the phone number. And then I was like, where does he live? She sent me the place he lives. And then we started talking a little bit. And then she was like, did he play the piano for you on the first date? I was like, yes. Like, it was like he just had us in like a rotation. And he was doing the same things for all these women. And all the other women that have come forward, like I said before, he told me that his type is Hispanic women. And I had mentioned that he always asked me to say stuff in Spanish and told me that he wanted to learn to salsa dance and stuff like that. The other women that have reached out are Hispanic. So.
The boy came up dangerous. He's got a little system he knows. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, okay, I get you. Okay, cool. So okay, wait. So that the girl who was also having sex with him, was she having sex with him at the same time with you, or she was doing it before?
They started sleeping together in early October.
Early October.
Yeah. And she just stopped talking to him like the other day, like once she saw my posts.
So he's been.
And she was
busy.
having, her and the other girl, they were having unprotected sex with him. I was the only one that was having him wear a condom. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've all been in contact with each other, and we've come to a mutual agreement. Like, we've all scheduled appointments to go get tested, even though I like had him wear protection just as like a precaution, and everyone should get tested. So.
My God. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. Let's continue with the stuff that you spoke about. Sorry, I had to get that part. I had to get that fleshed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So then, you said obviously as well. Wait. Did he also know? This is just quickly. Did he? Someone asked a really good question. Did he know? Were you able to? Because obviously, just now you shared your experience of being a survivor. Did he also know that as well? Did you manage to have that conversation with him as well?
No, but he
Okay.
did know other things that I've been through in my life that I'm not comfortable sharing on here.
That's fine.
But yeah, he knew some stuff that I had opened up to him about, and he knew like a lot of details about like my family and stuff because he showed a lot of interest in that.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Okay, so so then obviously you said so then when do you guys when for you, what kind of appropriate time in the timeline do you start thinking this could be something more than just the sex, right? When do you start thinking that?
I mean, just, I guess, in person, like with the conversations that we would have, and then like he would express that he missed me. He would be like, oh, like, I miss you, like, send me pictures of your face, and like just made it seem like he was very like interested in me, and that he cared about like what I was doing and like how I was doing and just stuff like that. And like, I'm young, like at this time, like I was still only 20. Like, the experiences I've had dating, like, very unimpressive things. Like, so for me was a lot. And I know a lot of people are like, don't be like you were fooled, like you were dumb for believing this. Like, I had never like had an experience like this before.
I understand.
Like I said, where someone was playing the piano for me, where someone was making sure that I had eaten, someone was constantly checking up on me and wanting to know about my family and my goals and my aspirations and stuff like that. So yeah,
No,
I was
I totally
naive.
get it. No, I totally get it. Listen, I don't judge you one bit because like I said, I'm a reformed supervillain myself. You are, if I'm honest with you, the perfect mark. You're fresh, you're naive, you're green. So these are, if someone's going to play the game, this is how we're going to choose you to play the game, because we can see that things are going to be, when you've gone through things don't easily impress you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to work harder to try and con someone, because that's what we're actually doing. We're conning. So I do get what you're saying about this. Like, don't worry about the audience. The audience are fickle. All right, they judge harshly as they always do. But we talk about this all the time. Grown-ass people be getting fooled out here. So I understand where you're coming from when you're talking about how he played you. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially when someone connects with you emotionally and makes you feel comfortable to share your life with them. That is a very powerful tool of deception, right? Because they've lured you into a place of where you can actually trust that person to give intimate details about your life. At that point, you're not trying to think, are they going to do me dirty? Do you know what I'm saying? If they haven't done you dirty before or showing some signs. So I totally understand where you come from. Don't worry about the audience. The audience are fickle. Some people not even here for you. They're just here just to have tea. So don't worry about them. Okay, so talk to us a little bit then. Okay, so in between that time then, so okay, so between the 27th now, we're kind of going into November. What's happening before between the 27th and your birthday, your 21st? You said 21st. When's your birthday? Sorry, did you say 21st?
November 21st.
November 21st, right? Cool. Love that date. Okay, November 21st. Between the 27th and the 21st, what's happening in this relationship between you and Zach? What's actually happening here? Just so I can get a bit more understanding.
Well, in like towards the beginning of November, that was when he went to New York, and I just realized today that Bao actually has a picture from like I think November 2nd, where the location, the geotag is Times Square. So Zach was obviously the one that took those photos because they were in New York together, like just the two of them. But I had no idea about that. I had no idea about her. I had no idea that there was any other women. And so then, like, I saw him a couple times, like in the early weeks of November. Then he went back into his I'm going through a lot right now, like, bullshit. And then that was when it led up to like the 19th of him. He knew my birthday was coming up, so he was asking like, "What are you going to be doing?"
Okay. So then your birthday comes up. Okay, so but in between that time as well, are you guys having any more conversations about where you guys are in this interaction? Is there any
Yeah,
more
I mean, he had
conversations?
told me that he liked the way that like I took care of him. Like he said that he'd always wanted like a woman that will take care of him and stuff like that because like he was like there was some days when he didn't even want to go out in public at all. He would be like I'm upset because of the show. Like, can you go pick me up some food and just and bring it to me and then like we'll hang out, we'll talk and whatever. And so then that was when he would continue with his shit, like his stupid promises about like I promise like I'm gonna take you out on a date and I'm gonna take you out and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that as soon as the show is done airing.
So there's a lot of promises that he was making about
Mm-hmm.
what he wants to do after the show finishes and stuff like that. That was
Yeah.
happening as well. Okay, that's making a lot of sense. Okay, and at that point, in all honesty, are you sold at that point? You know, you're thinking, okay, great, let's see what happens, kind of thing.
Yeah. And like we had even talked about like after the show, like maybe a couple months down the road, like taking a trip together because he told me that he had never traveled outside the US and I was like, oh, like it would be a fun opportunity to go to like Mexico or something because like it's not a far flight from Houston. And so like that was something that we discussed because like I said, I like to travel, so but that was just another bullshit promise.
Yeah. When he said he wanted you to take care of him, like, did he explain what would make him feel like he's been taken care of? Because I have a feeling let me not say anything. Let me not say anything. But anyway, yeah. What was his?
I mean, I guess just me like catering to him,
Mm,
and him being able to just cry about stuff and me
mm,
be there to like, I mean, pretty much the only thing I wasn't doing was spoon feeding him the food. Like, I'm going out of my way to go get you food. Like, when I have other things to do, I had started school in November, so I had homework, I had things that I had to do, but I'm like, okay, I can do this for you. Like, I know you're going through a lot right now, so let me try and make you a priority. So, which was
mm.
stupid. It was, and I understand looking back, but you have to
At the time,
understand. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I was caught up in everything. So,
Mm. No, I get it. You have a care. It seems like you have a caring nature.
yeah,
You want to care. So when he did express those feelings, I think naturally your instincts was to try and care for him. Like it's not
yeah,
like you were thinking, I'm gonna not do it. You know, you're a caring person. So I get that. No, that makes
yeah.
total sense. Okay. So okay. So that's all there. That's happened. And then okay. So your birthday. What you said obviously about he wanted to see you. He wanted to take you out, etc. etc. And then obviously you said about him meeting your family kind of thing situation. Is that the same time?
It was all that weekend, yeah. And
Oh,
then he was like, "Well, if I don't come out with you and your family, I promise I'm gonna take you out, like just us." And he had been talking about wanting to spend time with me on my birthday since when we met in person. because the first day that I met, he asked me, when we were in the kitchen, like eating, he was like, well, so when is your birthday? And I was like, November 21st. And he was like, oh, so what are we going to do? And so that had been like a constant conversation that we were having. So then when the 19th came and he invited himself, like I wasn't really like surprised by that, like because I knew, like I said, that was something that we had talked about.
Okay, I get that. So I mean, obviously, then, so like I said, he met your family, everything like that. Your family think he's pretty cool, you know.
Well, from what like I had told my aunt and uncle about him, because they're pretty much the only family that I have like in Texas, they were like impressed with him because I mean I told them about like the interactions and stuff, and I mean they basically said that he sounded like he was a gentleman, and that he was like taking care of me, and that like everything was reciprocated, like it wasn't just one of us like carrying more weight than the other. And so they were fine with him coming, and they knew that his family's in Baton Rouge. So they had even mentioned to me at one point, like, well, if he doesn't have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving, like he's welcome to come get a plate here. And so, I mean, it was kind of like embarrassing for me, like on the day of like my dinner, because like I said, like he had said that he wanted to come, so they added an extra person for the reservation, and then it's like, okay, never mind. Like he doesn't, like he can't even put his feelings aside to come out for my birthday, even after everything I've done for him.
Okay, I get that. I get that. I get that. All right. So okay, that's 21st November then. Okay, so when did you then question him and say, are you then seeing Bao?
That was Sunday,
The
like
same.
the
Oh,
Sunday
this
after
son then just got.
Sunday after Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Oh, Sunday after Thanksgiving. Okay, okay. So then, you question what triggers the questioning. Did you see a photo or something like that?
Yeah, I was sent the photo of him at her like family Thanksgiving or whatever, and then him on the story while she was hitting a piñata.
Mm. Okay, so once you saw that picture there, that's when you're like, "What? Nah, man's been lying to me. He's been playing me,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc." Um, did he ever tell you that he was ever seeing Bao or ever not like seeing, but like meeting Bao or anything like that, or filming
No,
anything like that?
he had told me like when we first started hanging out in person that he still like hangs out with some of the cast members, and that they had been in like a sand volleyball league together or something like that. And I remember him mentioning to me, he was like, yeah, but people take pictures of us together and some of us together and post it on blogs and turn it into something it's not. But that kind of just went over my head. I was just kind of like, I mean, I guess that's a part of being on reality TV. Like,
That makes sense.
I didn't really think to like read much into that.
Okay, okay. So then, when you question him about the fact that hey, bruh, you're out here looking shiesty out here with these situations, what's his response to you?
I mean, he was just playing dumb. And then
Mm,
when I did ask him, like, why didn't you tell me you're dating someone? He literally told me I'm not. And then the next day on Monday, was when things just exploded. He was going crazy. And I was honestly like scared for like my safety, because when I had originally tried to call Bao, he barged into her apartment and was going crazy. And she had to threaten that she was going to call the police if he didn't leave. So he had to
Wait,
leave.
whoa, wait, babe, you can't let that go too quickly. You're on 2 times speed. We're gonna slow that back down. Okay, wait, hold on. Back here. So wait, okay, so you on Monday, it's after the Thanksgiving Sunday, right?
Mhm.
On the Monday, he now knows you've questioned him about the situation with Bow's situation, right? Then Zach, you find out that Zach's obviously then gone to Bow. Just start there again so that we get it. Just so that we get it.
Yeah, well, so he started calling me while I was in class, and I responded, like, I'm in class, please stop calling me. I cannot answer the phone right now. And he's like, please, it's an emergency, answer the phone. And he kept calling. And I'm like, stop, you need to stop calling me.
How many
And
calls did you get?
what?
How many times did he
Probably like
call?
at least 5.
Mm.
And so then that was when I started messaging with her on Instagram, agreed to have a phone call because she asked me for proof. She asked me, like, well, what's his phone number? I sent his contact. And then I told her, like, where he lived and, like, other details. I sent her all the screenshots she asked for, and I have provided her with our entire messages from the day we met until the end, everything. So, I mean, she believed me, and then when we talked, like, we started to realize, like things like the fact that she was in New York with him, and I thought he was there visiting friends and family. And so then that he was really going crazy that day. And then that evening, I got home from school around like 5, and he knew my schedule with school, and he started blowing up my phone again. And I texted him, I was like, "What do you want?" And then he called again, and I sent a question mark with the arrow pointing up to the question again, "What do you want?" And he's like, "I just want to talk." And I said, "About what?" And then he kept calling. Like, it was to the point where it was every minute. Like, I was just clicking it, and I was taking screenshots of the calls, because it would be like at this time, and then a minute later, and then a minute later, and a minute later. And it was getting to the point where, like, I was starting to get scared. Because he knows where I live too, and I knew that he had showed up at Bow's, and I'm like, well, I don't want him to show up here. Like, first of all, I'm not that big. I can't protect myself. He's a man. So, and like, I'm by myself. So,
Of course.
I was stressing out. And so then I was like, "About what?" And he said he wanted to talk about why I ruined his life. And then he told me, he was like, "Bao was all I had left, this and that." And then I will insert a self-harm trigger warning here before I continue with the conversation. So anyone that has a problem with that, like, just
Thank you.
leave for a second. He was like, "I almost hurt myself today because of you." He told me that he almost jumped off his balcony because of me. And I relayed this information to Bao, and she ended up contacting his family, who came to Houston from Baton Rouge because he was making those statements, and he was putting all that pressure on my shoulders, as if I was the person that caused all of this when it was him. And like, so I continued to have a conversation with him, like, "Look, you just need to take accountability for your own actions. That's all it really is. Like, you should have taken accountability last night when I asked you. I gave you an opportunity to tell me the truth, and you lied." And so then he just dropped the whole, like, self-harm thing, and then just continued to be like, "Well, I don't expect to see any screenshots on social media." Just like, he's just worried about his image. And then he literally said to me, "These are real people's lives." I was like, "Am I not a real person to you?" Like, he was basically making it seem like my emotions and my feelings were not valid because I'm not on a TV show, and I don't have any, like, fame like he does. And, like, so that I'm not important, and the way that I feel isn't important, and the fact that I was upset and that I was hurt by this too, he didn't care. So.
My God. Just quickly, just a little bit section. How did you find out about him going to Bao? Did he tell you, or did Bao tell you?
Him showing up at her apartment. She told me.
Damn. My God. Okay. Crazy stuff. So he tried to pin it onto you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where me and Zach depart. I mean, I'm a reformed supervillain, but this is too far. I'm sorry. So he's tried to pin it onto you, and then to get out of the situation, he's now trying to say, trigger warning again for anybody who's listening to this. He's then saying that he's going to potentially take his life.
Yeah, because of me. And he's telling me this, which is...
Is this text? Is this text or is this call?
Yeah, this is text. I still have all the texts.
Okay.
And it was just, like, so overwhelming for me. The whole situation was overwhelming. Him blowing up my phone, I was scared of him showing up, and then now he's basically putting his life on me as if, like, I caused all this. Like, I was innocent. Like, I had no idea about any of this. It all just blew up in my face. And so that was, like, it gave me so much anxiety. And then I was sitting there with him trying to, like, have a conversation and just get him to, like, reason with me and give me, like, a reasonable explanation as to, like, why he did this. And he just kept continuing to lie. And then when I would tell him, like, "Zach, like, I literally have these messages, like, I can send them to you right now. I have everything. I never deleted anything." And then all of a sudden he would remember. And then it's like, and then he stopped texting me. So like that night I was kind of like stressed. I was like, oh my God, like, did he do something to himself? Like what happened? And then I see on his Instagram story, Q&A about Married at First Sight. I'm like, what? So you're over here playing this whole role to me and her that you're going to like hurt yourself. And this is so horrible for you. But then you're just perfectly fine to be posting something to get attention because he knew that this was going to come out. And he was trying to distract from it. So.
Oh, okay. Did you have any more? Has there been any more contact between yourself and him since you came out?
No.
After that,
I don't have anything more to say to him, and I think that he knows that that would just not be good for him to do that. Because I mean, just the way he was talking to me and stuff that day, like the whole situation has been like hard for me. Because like it's literally like I'm in the middle. Like if I don't speak, I'm lying, and if I do speak, I'm clout chasing, and all this other stuff. So like it's like a lose-lose situation either way. But like I decided to put myself basically in the line of fire to like protect like women in the future so they can see what he's really like, because he is a fraud. He puts on this entire act and it is so believable that it's honestly kind of scary. And like I didn't eat for like a couple days like when this first started because I was so stressed out, and especially with the claims that he was making about like taking his life and stuff, that was just too far.
My God. Okay. This is it's a super story. Okay, so being where we are now, when you look back at the situation, can you see where the red flags are? Looking back at the situation, can you see some of where the red flags are yourself?
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest red flags was the fact that he was pushing me to drink as soon as I got to his apartment. Like, knowing that I'm a lightweight, because I told him, like, he was like, what do you like to drink? And I was like, literally the main thing that I usually drink is Mike's Hard Lemonade, which is something that has a very low alcohol percentage. And here he is pouring me a red Solo cup with a bunch of tequila in it, like, which is obviously something that is, for someone who's lightweight, obviously going to have like a faster effect. So I was just like taking a light sip, continuing to drink my water, because I'm like, if I am going to drink, like I want to be hydrated and I want to make sure that like we've at least eaten dinner before I start drinking more.
Okay. And just obviously in between like beginning of November to now, did he ever make it official that you guys are in a relationship or anything like that? Did he ever try to make it as if you guys are together? Like, just want to see.
mean, I figured that things were gonna be like end up being exclusive because he like promised me multiple times. Like I knew the show was gonna be ending. He's like, then we're gonna start going out, and then we're gonna start having real dates, and this and that. And like I believed him. I had no reason not to.
I get that. I do get that. Okay. So if you know, for you then, what would you say are the lessons that you've learned then from this situation for you? What are the lessons you feel you've learned from the situation?
Not to be so trusting of people. Make them earn your trust. Don't just give it to them because they say that you should trust them, that they're a good guy. Like I should have made him show me why he's a good guy, not just taking it in like from him telling me like, oh, I'm a good guy. Like I do this, I do that. Like I have a good job. I have a nice apartment. I have a nice car. Like this and that. Like just everything he was just trying to impress me with. So.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get that. I get that. And my final situation here, final kind of question here is, I mean, if you were to talk to Zach again, what would you say to him?
I guess just why, and like, did you honestly think that you were gonna get away with this? Like, I know he knew that I didn't watch the show, so I think he figured that he was in the clear in that perspective. But I also think that because of my age, he thought that I was dumb and that he could easily get things past me. But I think that I've proven to him that he was wrong about me, that he underestimated me, and my ability to like figure things out and put things together. And even though he did still try to manipulate the situation, try to make me believe that I was the one at fault, which is a horrible thing to do, especially since he is a grown adult who should at that age be able to take accountability for his own actions and own up to the things that he's done wrong. But it's easier for him to just pawn that off on me because he can do no wrong. So yeah.
I appreciate. Yeah, listen, you've shared so much with us, and you've kept it real. I mean, I believe you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I believe you. I'm fully believing. I've seen some of the receipts as well, so on Reddit, so I kind of already knew, but I just wanted to kind of get your story as well, from yourself. I mean, what you've encountered, what you've encountered is an emotional F-boy who uses emotions to reel you in, and chew up and spit you out. What's most concerning for me in this particular situation, I think, is the way he avoided accountability. I mean, people do this, right? Man, them cheat and do stupid stuff, right? But it's the use of mental health issues that I feel is very scary. You know, and that's another level. So, you know, you're still young, you know what I'm saying? We want you to take this as an experience you've learned, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're alive, you're well, you're not dead, right? So take this as an experience, you know what I'm saying? Learn from it as you're doing, you know what I mean? Continue to grow. And I always say this to people as well: take time and review the whole situation. This live is going to be here. You can watch it and see what you've said, review what's happened, and make the adjustments accordingly. Do you know what I'm saying? And you can do that by yourself. You don't have to do it with anyone else. Just do it by yourself and just take your time, and just really understand what's happened, because these things are deception. Is a two-way streak. I have to, in order to deceive you, I've got to have something that you think you want, right? So whenever when I was trying to deceive women, I would look for their weakness, and it's the weakness is that where is there a chink in the armor, right? So, you know, for yourself, you're a caring person. You're a caring person. You want to show love, and what happened is that I think very early on, you shared some deep things with him. You felt comfortable enough to do that, and I always say that you almost got to. I mean, in return, did he share deep things with you, as you remember?
Not
Apart from the
really,
crying.
no.
So when you're going with somebody, you tend to try and gauge the level. You know, this is, like I said, I know you're young, so this is not me shooting you down. It's more of a experience coming in for somebody who's played the game and moved mad. I want to just kind of give you some of the gems of what happens. And you know, we when we're hunting, we look for people who, and this is the honest truth, we look for people who seemingly are going to be receptive to our deception. So if we see any weakness, or we see any softness, we see anything that is going to be like, oh, I can play with her, we're gonna do it, right? So the greatest form of defense here is that you are, one, you have experience, but two, also you ask critical questions and you know what you're going into. Because I'll be honest with you, at 21, I get it. You go to someone's house, you probably won't do that again. Not an early thing, you know what I mean? Like, you might not do that again, right? Because you realize now that sends a signal for us. If you come over that quickly, that sends a signal for us that, okay, she's game. She's ready. She's ready. I mean, she's ready to play, right? And so these are just little things like that. I mean, we can talk a little bit behind more the scenes, and we talk a little bit about that. But you know, I think you were love bombed. You were love bombed, obviously, as well by him. You know, he clearly wanted to try to tap into emotional stuff, and clearly started pretending he was vulnerable. And that's the key part of the game. I'm crying, I'm sad, you know what I mean? I'm on the show and no one loves me, no one cares for me, kind of bull crap that comes out, you know, and it lowers your defense, because now you want to be caring for that person. And just as you're about to cover, that's when we strike you with a dagger, right? and that's why we now come and do our best game. So you know, I don't want you to think you're alone. Listen, we've all been got. I've been got even by women, so we've all been got at a point in time, right? But it's part of that learning process that when you see a man that you can't trust him on face value, like you said, you see the word and you see his actions, and the moment he starts moving in a certain way, you have to go, okay, I'm now watching you and I'm observing the way that you move, right? So you know, just a little something tidbits there, nothing too heavy. But again, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your heart with us. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I appreciate that. Do you have any last sentiments or words or anything that you want to say?
Well, I appreciate you for having me, and just like to the people that just have all kinds of like negative things to say and about the decisions that I've made. I know a lot of them are older, and like like I said, I was 20, 21 in this situation. Like I'm sure pretty much everyone can say that they can look back at that age and realize that they did things that they regret, or that were probably not the best decisions, or that they were naive at that age too. Like I'm still like growing up and learning. Like I've only been an adult for a few years. I've only been independent for a very short amount of time. I'm still figuring things out. I'm still figuring out who I am. Like I was manipulated the same way a lot of people were that watched the show.
Yeah,
like if you were manipulated by him through the screen, how do you think that it was for me in person? So like just don't be so quick to make judgment, because the screenshots that I released were, one, my choice to release them, and I was just more so trying to show his character, and people have just turned it into things like that day when he said I had to leave at 6:30, that was the first day that we met. No. And people don't know the conversations that we had behind closed doors and things that happened like when it was just us outside of text messages and stuff like that. So just don't be so quick to like make judgment. And at the end of the day, like I made decisions that I was ready to do things at certain times. And like at the end of the day, it is my body. And I felt comfortable enough to do those things because I didn't realize that I was being lied to about everything. So
I get it. Trust me. You'll be wiser for this. So I'm saying, so you know what I mean. But again, thank you so much, Elena, for sticking with us and having this conversation and sharing, and being transparent. I think a lot of people will learn from this as well. Even if they don't learn for themselves, they would make sure they teach their daughters this, you know what I'm saying, or their nieces or whatever. So, we appreciate you being honest and open here as well. To the audience, thank you so much. Y'all came out 1,100 people strong. They were there to hear your story, Elena. So, we appreciate you again. Keep being a strong survivor as you have been. And we want to wish you, blessings ahead on your journey. And I'll definitely keep tabs just to make sure you're okay as well during the course of that time. So we appreciate again. Audience, it's time to go. We are all going home. Yeah. We don't have to stay. You can stay here if you want to, but the chat will be closed. All right. But listen, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you. This is Little Black Book once again, sitting down with Elena Guevara. Is it Guevara? I'll kill people's names. How do you say it?
It's Guevara, but like
Guevara.
You can say Guevara. People say it all kinds of ways.
No, I like that. Guevara. Yeah. I'll forget my next week, but Guevara. I like it. All right, cool. Audience, it's been a blessing. It's been blessed. We'll see you again later on this week on Friday night when we have our Ready to Love. Sorry, Saturday night when we have a Ready to Love. And we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Much love and appreciation. See you soon. Little Black, you know what